Last month I had to go to Tokyo to renew my passport for an upcoming trip abroad, and of course it would have been ridiculous to go all the way there, pop in the Swiss embassy and come straight back home. So the occasion to shoot for a few days in Tokyo was presented to me and I grabbed it. I'm currently on a side quest to shoot only with a 35mm lens for a few months, so packing my bag for this trip couldn't have been easier. I grabbed my Sony a7C II and the Zeiss 35mm f2.8, that's it. No zoom, no other prime lens. The 35mm was the only one I brought with me, and was it a good decision? Not fully convinced. I have traveled multiple times before with just a prime, and most of the time it was a 35mm, and I never regretted it, but this time it was a bit different. I think the focal length is not to blame, but more so my approach. I've been living in Japan for more than 3 years now, but Tokyo is a place I have not spent a lot of time in. I live in Hiroshima, and I have no reason to travel to Tokyo outside of leisure, eventual photo trips, or administrative issues like this time with my passport. That said, I have been there enough times to have visited most of the touristy attractions and popular photo spots, and I also know how rich Tokyo is in terms of photographic potential, so my approach for this trip initially was to have a very loose plan, or almost no plan, we can say it. I still wanted to define a landing, or more so a starting point, going there and simply walk around, wandering the streets without a clear goal and timeline to stick to get specific shots at specific times of the day. Tokyo has so much to offer: little alleys, interesting architecture, beautiful parks, and many people, including interesting characters to photograph. So on paper it should work. It's really a city that you could walk endlessly and always be presented with interesting photo opportunities. So on that first day, I made the appointment at the embassy, the first thing I had to deal with, so I could switch to photography after that without having to worry about having to be somewhere at a specific time in such a big city like Tokyo. The embassy happens to be located in Minami-Azabu, a pretty wealthy area of Tokyo if my understanding is correct. At least I did see plenty of cars on the streets that are not on the cheap side, to say the least. I ended up walking north without clear goals, like I said, but then I noticed that if I kept going, I would reach the big national stadium. I never went there before, and it was quite nice to see from up close with the good light shining on Tokyo that day. But I didn't know at the time that, not being a city boy, this would be the most open view I would get in the next 48 hours. An environment I feel better in, and where my 35mm felt right to capture like more open vistas with some of the sky in my photos, and also playing with the light and shadows created by the different structures at and around the stadium. I'm in a phase with my photography where I start to question if 35mm is really my favorite focal length and whether I want to commit to it even more. When I travel to more like remote places, taking photos that could fit in the realm of like landscape/travel, 35mm feels always right. It's very neutral and natural, letting me capture the world how I experience it. It's not too wide, but it still gives me a bit more angle of view compared to a 40mm, so I can fit everything I want in my shots in most situations. But when it comes to the streets, the story is a bit different, at least in Japan specifically. It's the country I decided to move to and adapt to the culture. It's becoming more and more difficult for me and my type of personality to go up close and take photos of people's face without feeling any sort of awkwardness and like I'm invading someone's privacy. When I first came here years ago, everything was so new and looked amazing to me that it was probably tuning down any sort of empathy and the little voice in my head telling me not to take a shot. And there's also something else. When you travel somewhere that is not your home country, even if you plan on coming back sometime in the future, you have the peace of mind knowing that even if you bother someone by taking a photo of him, you will probably never meet him again, so it's fine. And 35mm sits in a weird in-between. It's not wide enough like a 28mm, for example, to shoot in this more dense urban environment and shoot more like landscape style. And at the same time, it's not tight enough to lean more towards like a fine art street photography or taking photos of people but more discreetly from afar in a respectful manner. So I ended up relying a lot on the APS-C crop feature to get me closer to people and things, but still there was time I would have wished something even tighter than that. That being said, even with the little inconveniences and internal questioning, we cannot forget the huge upside to bringing only one prime with you. It is just so liberating to remove all sorts of decision paralysis before going out in the streets. You don't have to debate on what lens to bring with you for the day, or whether you should pack another one in your bag because simply you don't have any other lenses. Also, you don't have a zoom that can be overwhelming sometimes with the endless possibilities it offers. You have one focal length and you have to make it work by moving around and adjusting your framing. My hotel was in Otsuka, so I jumped on the train from Yoyogi Station and that's where I headed next to check in, drop my bag and go out again to shoot a bit more photos at night. This neighborhood was also new to me and I like how it's not flashy but full of small scenes. There's narrow streets, old shops and everyday moments that feel very Tokyo. I read that this area is also undergoing like some rapid changes with its popularity rising, but to me it felt well preserved and not flooded with tourists, so that's where I decided to stay for a bit of night street photography. Just before we keep going, a quick word about today's video sponsor, K&F Concept. If you followed my channel for a while, you know that I love compact gear and that I need filters to shoot video in daylight. K&F Concept happens to be making a magnetic VND filter in a 49mm filter thread, perfect for my small 35mm lens. Basically what I like about K&F Concept is that there is no faff. They focus on simple, well-designed tools that do the job very well at a reasonable price. This magnetic filter is variable, so it ranges from ND2 to ND32. It covers most situations I face when shooting photos and videos. I can have more control than when I use only a single strength ND filter, and the magnetic system makes it incredibly fast to put on and off. There is also this backpack that looks pretty stylish and that is designed for photographers. It's got dedicated space for camera gear, accessories, a laptop compartment, water bottle pockets, and the side access makes grabbing gear mid-shoot so much faster. The roll top and front expandable pocket are great when I need extra room without it looking bulky, which is something I care about when I'm going on a short 1 or 2 night adventure, so I can pack some changes on top of my camera gear all in one bag. And it's waterproof, so everything inside stays safe and dry. I've put the product links down in the description, so check them out if you're looking for high quality and affordable gear. And thanks again to K&F Concept for sponsoring this video and supporting the channel. Another goal I had, or more so a mindset I wanted to stick to during this trip, was trying my best to eliminate micro laziness. It will maybe sound stupid, but I'm not afraid to admit that so many times I let my lazy nature take over for the most minuscule thing, and that over the years made me miss some shots for sure. For example, I'm talking about not willing to prolong a bit my burst or not using burst mode at all because I'm already thinking of the extra time I will have to spend culling my photos. But not so long ago I saw a video showing some contact sheets including some renowned photos, and the whole point was to show that it took many attempts to get the shot right. I thought that if they did that in the past with film and its limitations, I have no excuse not to shoot longer bursts to try catching a photo at the perfect timing. It's literally free to do it, only some virtual space is taken on an SD card that can accommodate thousands of high-res pictures. This is not to say that this mindset magically led me to take portfolio-worthy photos in the short time I had in Tokyo, but at least I gave myself the chance to get the best possible photo I could in a given situation where I had my framing right and a subject came into the frame. I woke up on the second day without a plan, once again, and kind of on purpose, like I said. Otsuka, where I was staying, happens to be just a few minutes away from Sugamo, another very cool area in Tokyo, known to be the Harajuku of the retirees. It's authentic, the shops, the people, and the routine seems to have not really changed in decades. There is a long shopping street going through the whole district. I love this area, and having visited this place already a few times, this is where I would have loved a bit more reach with my lens to focus a bit more on subjects and also graphic compositions. Still, there was some sort of middle school running competition right in the middle of the main street, and 35mm was a good focal length to document that with its neutral and documentary field of view. I'm on the rooftop of a department store, and here we are supposed to see Mount Fuji, but I suppose it is not the day. Can't see Mr. Mount Fuji. After going through Sugamo, an area that I knew, I thought that it could be more interesting to go somewhere I had not been before, so I headed to Kichijoji. There is a little block of tiny alleyways filled with izakayas, and next to it you can also find a more traditional shopping area, more modern and definitely more crowded than Sugamo. But actually that sort of activity and business was quite tricky to shoot for me. I still got a few shots that I liked, but I quickly fell into the trap of checking my phone and checking Google Maps constantly to see if there was something more interesting, more suited to me to photograph. So the mindset and the belief that Tokyo has so much to offer that you can lose yourself and always have something to take photos of started to crumble. My behavior was not in line with the idea I had initially, and I just ended up being less present in the moment, something crucial not only to take better photos, but just to enjoy your time like 1,000 times more. Still, I visited Inokashira Park, which is located just 5 minutes away from Kichijoezi Station, before heading to Ochanomizu, the place of the very famous train viewing spot you probably saw online already. I don't despise this kind of trendy photogenic spot, and it's quite the opposite actually. I like to go there, get my version of the spot, and use them as an anchor point to build my photography days around. But shortly after successfully taking a clip of multiple trains coming at the same time, I started feeling like unusually cold. I thought it could just have been from spending most of the day outside in the cold, but once I got back inside, it became all clear to me. Some sort of a cold got the best of me, and I spent the remaining of the evening and the night in the bed with fever. So it was not the best ending to these 2 days of shooting in Tokyo, but still, I hope you liked the video. Thanks a lot for watching as always, and see you soon. Bye.